The Curse of Oak Island. The team encounters a bizarre ancient well and examines Templar Knight stone symbols. The Curse of Oak Island went medieval this week as they investigated a strange ancient well on Lot 6 and examined mysterious rock markings that connect to ancient Christianity, possibly the Templar Knights. On last night's episode, the team began borehole digging in the area identified as the source of the gold leaking into the water samples. The area, known as the Pink Blob, is a 70 x 25-foot area that lies about 10 feet to the west of the garden shaft. So far, they found nothing, but it's very early days yet. In the meantime, there's a new peculiar mystery on Lot 26 of Oak Island. Rick Lagina explained that years back, he stumbled upon an old well on Lot 26, south side of the island, while walking in the middle of winter. Rick was surprised because, despite the snow and ice covering the ground, this well remained unfrozen. Why? This week, Rick decided to ask geoscientist Ian Spooner to investigate the well, which he did by taking a couple of samples from the bottom for analysis. He removed some of the water, and he took a piece of wood from the bottom, which he believed had been used in the construction of the well. The water sample came back with an elevated silver content, making this well one of the few places outside the money pit area to contain silver. Ian also dated the wood, which came back as 800 years old. The geoscientist also pointed out that the well was crudely and roughly built, another factor suggesting it might be very old. Historian Doug Crowell was the first to point out this was a similar timescale for the paved area in the swamp, which Ian had previously said also dated as far back as the 12th century. Strange rock markings point to Templar Knights in Nova Scotia. There was a medieval theme to last night's episode, as Oak Island theories, Corjan Mole made a return. The Templar Knights expert accompanied the guys on a road trip down to Liverpool, Nova Scotia, to examine some curious symbols. A couple of landowners from the Liverpool area, about 50 miles southwest of Oak Island, wanted to show the guys a selection of symbols carved into the rocks on the seashore. The first symbol looked remarkably like a broad-head arrow marking, a symbol often used by the English aristocracy to signify ownership. However, Corjan suggested it might also be a goose paw symbol, which was used by the Masons of the Templar Knights. This marking appears on the cornerstones of numerous Templar churches across Europe. Another rock nearby featured a selection of small carvings that seemed to signify Christianity. One marking featured a cross on top of a circle, which is supposed to represent Christian dominance over the globe. The landowners claimed that the markings had always been there. Generation before generation knew of these symbols. Corjan and the guys speculated that this could be more evidence of Templar visits to Nova Scotia in the pre-Columbus era. A clay pipe is found on Oak Island's Lot 5. Meanwhile, on Lot 5, archaeologists Miriam Amaralt and Helen Sheldon were working hard on excavating a mysterious stone feature. So far, the structure consists of at least one stone wall and a number of pieces of pottery. Last night, there was excitement after Miriam located a piece of a clay pipe. Gary Drayton joked that it was a smoking hot find as he continued to showcase his vast array of corny dad jokes. The pipe dates from about 1500 to 1800, but an analysis of the inner hole of the object should lead to a more precise date range. Once the team has a date, they should have a clearer idea of who built the feature and why. Back when the archaeologists were working on the stone roadway in the swamp, they were surprised and baffled as to why they weren't finding more artifacts, such as clay pipes. Last night, they speculated that perhaps Lot 5 and the roadway are connected. Maybe those who constructed the roadway were camped on Lot 5. On the rugged shores of Nova Scotia, a new mystery bubbles to the surface, quite literally, as the Lagina brothers and their devoted team delve deeper into the enigma that is Oak Island. Season after season, their pursuit of treasure, truth, and history has taken them down countless tunnels and across every corner of the island. But nothing quite prepared them for what they found buried in the thickets of Lot 11, a bizarre ancient well, unlike any other seen on the island, and a series of symbols carved into stone that may be tied to the legendary Knights Templar. It started with a routine ground-penetrating radar scan of a seldom-explored section of Lot 11. The area had long been overlooked, partially due to dense overgrowth and the team's focus on the garden shaft and the money pit. But when the GPR showed a peculiar cylindrical void, something that didn't resemble natural formations, Rick Lagina's curiosity over the years, Rick said, crouching beside the brush-covered patch. When Oak Island doesn't want to be noticed, it hides the most significant things in plain sight. As the team carefully cleared the area, a ring of jagged stones emerged, weathered and moss-covered. Within that ring lay a perfectly circular hole roughly 5 feet across, lined with ancient stonework that descended straight into darkness. The structure was unmistakable, an old well, but this wasn't any ordinary well. Its construction was too precise, too symmetrical for something centuries old. Billy Gerhardt, the ever-reliable excavator operator, cautiously expanded the area while archaeologist Laird Niven examined the stonework. "These stones were cut with care," Laird observed. "You're looking at a medieval construction style, not 18th century settler work. This well predates the original money pit story by at least 100 years, maybe more." Further down, at a depth of 10 feet, the team uncovered something astonishing embedded in the well wall. A large, smooth slab with carved symbols. The markings included a cross patty, associated with the Knights Templar, a triangle over a circle, and a serpent intertwined with a sword. These were not random. They were deliberate and ceremonial. Doug Crowell immediately recognized the implications. These aren't just medieval etchings. These are sacred symbols, likely etched by someone with knowledge of Templar rituals. Back at the war room, the excitement was palpable. Marty Lagina, typically the more skeptical of the two brothers, was visibly intrigued. "If this is a Templar well, we may be standing on something far more important than any vault. This could be a Templar sanctum." To verify the connection, the team contacted experts in Templar history. Dr. Catherine Giles, a British historian specializing in medieval religious orders, joined via video call. "The symbols you've uncovered," she confirmed, "match inscriptions found in Portugal and France at Templar chapels. Especially the serpent sword entwining, a sign of guardianship and secret knowledge. It may indicate the well was more than a water source. It was ceremonial." Dr. Giles pointed to the cross pate as particularly telling. This wasn't just a generic Christian cross. The Templars adopted it to signify their authority and mission. Finding that on Oak Island is extraordinary. The discovery sparked wild but plausible theories among the team. Could the Templars have used the well as a repository for sacred texts or relics? Was it an initiation site for members arriving in the New World? The strange configuration of symbols seemed to point toward a map or ritualistic purpose rather than a practical one. Adding further intrigue, a secondary tunnel appeared at the well's base, an opening just wide enough for a person to crawl through. Drilling confirmed it stretched eastward toward the garden shaft. Could this tunnel be part of the mysterious flood system, or had the Templars created a multi-level network beneath the island long before modern engineering made such things possible? Meanwhile, Gary Drayton swept the surrounding area with his metal detector, yielding yet another piece of the puzzle. A lead cross similar to one found in earlier seasons. This one, however, had been deliberately buried under a flat stone just a few feet from the well, as though someone had wanted it hidden but not lost. "This cross is eerily similar to the one we found on Smith's Cove," Gary noted. "If these two crosses are part of a pair or a set, that's a whole new level of crazy." In response, Charles Barkhouse proposed an intriguing theory. The well could mark the starting point of a sacred journey. Each symbol and artifact laid along the path might be clues meant for only the initiated to understand, akin to Templar treasure trails found in Europe. To explore the underground tunnel safely, the team brought in geotechnical specialists and snake cameras. As the camera crawled through the dark, damp tunnel, it caught glimpses of strange etchings on the walls. Stars, numbers, and yet another Templar cross. At the tunnel's apparent end was what appeared to be a sealed stone door. It was a cliffhanger moment worthy of the show's legacy. "We might be looking at the most important discovery in Oak Island history," Rick Lagina said with a mix of awe and reverence. "This isn't just about treasure anymore. This is about preserving history, possibly rewriting it." Fans watching around the world erupted with excitement online. The well and the Templar carvings added an entirely new layer of mystery and potential historical significance. What was initially a simple anomaly on a radar scan had turned into what could be a holy well. One that could prove once and for all that the Templars made it to the New World before Columbus.